Usually, daily life becomes part of the divine therapy, and God sends into it different difficulties, trials, challenges, invocations, or we may have a role to play, which challenge the genuineness of our interior experience during prayer. And so if we were a little too fond of the bright side or the consolations, or we face the fact that we are in circumstances that don't give us the opportunity to get there, or we have different responsibilities that are now very significant, like raising a family or some apostolate of some kind or some service of humanity, and now you're in relationship with other people who have egos that are not as willing to give themselves up as yours is. So how to relate to all these things, it challenges in all the practical and diverse ways humans have to be prepared for, because this is not a privatized journey or a magic carpet to bliss. It's a preparation for true life, in the fullest sense of the word, in which we, when the marriage takes place, we'll be able to be available for God's loving attentiveness, and to have the courage to engage in similar trials that Jesus had and the saints had and the sages had. In other words, we need to be dragged through the dust of this world with this great desire for solitude, or at least to enjoy periods of retreat that are not available anymore because of circumstances, or at least as much as they were. So this is exercise in spiritual detachment, and this spiritual detachment can get very intense in the night of spirit, which is supposed to be shorter than the night of sense. But it seems to me, when this is being done in the world, they both may need to be longer, because the intensity of the divine action is diffused in some degree by great difficulties, although external difficulties are, St. Teresa points out at the beginning of the seventh mansion that she describes, are normal aspect of, and they increase the interior trials or challenges of the night of spirit. So there, by this time, the soul, at least the Christian in the Christian journey, is recognizing that it's being lived in by God, and is reliving or re-expressing the mysteries of Christ in various ways, according as he wants to do this in our particular uniqueness or lifetime.
You're quite fascinating, to solitude, interior silence, stillness, and the consent to nothingness, which is really the consent to everything.
Yes, this nothingness doesn't really exist.
Right.
But it's the disposition to let go of all possessive attitudes, and especially of the ego, which then, that there's a secret reassurance in the kenosis, or nothingness. And I think this is perhaps one of the things that distinguishes centering prayer as a method is it starts off with kenosis. It means the emptying of self. Okay. First of the thoughts as the primary manifestation, and then of attitudes, then of being itself. So it's not just nothingness or emptiness, if you use that word. It's the emptying of the self in order to let God come in. And so there's a confidence that that this nothings, as painful as it might be at times in the night of spirit, is also opening. It's also aware that it's going to know something, and in the cloud of unknowing, it's the letting go of everything, because you know you can't know it, and then you start to know it, but from a different place, from love rather than any conceptual apparatus. It starts you out in the contemplative direction and in the essence of the transformative process, which is death to self, as we know it, and the birth of the true self, which turns out to be in a very real sense, the birth of the Word within us, as in the case of the Blessed Mother. That's why she's such an example of her catechumens of how to be a Christian. Basically, the essence is to bring forth, to birth the Word of God in us, as she did. Different mode, of course,
Right.
intensity, but it's the same movement of transformation or love.